to kind of share with you guys where I know on the Signal group I had shared uh, something. I was actually just sitting in my bedroom looking outside. We have this big picture window in our bedroom that overlooks our property, and I was just pondering some things with Father, and he drew my attention on. So as you guys know, we live on a few acres. It's not a big place. Got 3 acres. Mom and dad live on the property in their house, and we have our home, and one of our sons is building a house on the property as well. And of course we've got a garden, and we've planted fruit trees, and I was just thankful for all of those things, and
Mhm,
pondering all of that with Father.
mhm,
Drew my attention to the fruit on the land.
mhm,
And some of our trees, specifically the fruit trees, and some of the fruit trees aren't yet, they weren't on the property when we bought the property. It was actually extremely neglected when we purchased it. And so of course we've taken great um ownership of it, and tending to it, and tending to the soil and the grass, and planting all kinds of things. And that includes a number of variety of different fruit trees: fig trees, apple trees, pomegranate, peach, apricot, just blackberry bushes, you name it, right? And some of those fruit trees haven't begun to produce. And so I was just I was just in this place of how beautiful our property is, and how thankful I am of what Father has given us to steward in the land itself. And of course you guys know my tree, my friend. And so I was just contemplating those things and how thankful I am of them. And Father brought my attention to the fruit trees that haven't begun producing yet. And he said this, he said, "Don't give up, walk away, or let go of the things you've been holding on to before you
mhm,
see the harvest. You will see the fruit of the harvest." Now, I knew in that moment that he said that of course, yes, was it about the fruit trees and them bringing forth fruit? Of course, right? But it was a bigger statement that I knew instantly that I was to share with our group, and to post it. And thus those of you that are on Signal read it and heard it. And but I really felt impressed by him to encourage all of us this morning, each of you, all of us this morning, with that word. And immediately I was brought, he reminded me of Isaiah 60, 1 through 5, verses 1 through 5. And it says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. For behold, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the people. But the Lord will rise upon you, and his glory will appear over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Lift up your eyes and look around. They all gather and come to you. Your sons will come from afar, and your daughters will be carried on the arms." And then he highlighted verse 5, y'all. And verse 5 reads like this: "Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will tremble and swell with joy, because the riches of the sea will be brought to you, and the wealth of the nations will come to you." Let me read that again. "Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will tremble and swell with joy, because the riches of the sea will be brought to you, and the wealth of the nations will come to you." Now, again, I just want to reiterate, this morning is about encouraging us. Um, I don't have a real long, lengthy teaching, although who knows where Father will take all of the things when we're as we're discussing it. But a few things that I wanted to bring up and just highlight as Father was highlighting them to me for us this morning is the word arise. That word arise is the word cum, Qum. And it's a kof, a vav, and a mem in Hebrew. And it does mean that arise, rise up, stand. But it also means to be established, be confirmed, endure, to be fixed. And that word fixed isn't about being repaired. Although, in our own idea of how we see humanity and even ourselves, we really do think of ourselves from the place of broken, needing to be fixed, or needing to be repaired, or even needing to apply the truths that are Christ in us to repair or fix. But that word is not that. It is fixed as in attached to, made one with, to be valid, to be proven. And by valid, I mean validated, to be proven. Arise, cum, also means to persist or be fulfilled, to impose. Isn't that interesting? We see that word arise as in stand up, and only that, to be resolute, and it does mean that. But it also speaks to the very heart or core of our identity, of understanding resolutely our complete fixedness or assurance, our complete established, that is and always has been. It's just that we've not been aware of it in our human way of seeing humanity, our own humanity. If I were to look at those letters individually, the Kof, the Vav, and the Mem, I see something completely um, profound, because I'm looking at the very aspects of the word arise, which, if I were to simply take these letters, arise would look something like this if I were to describe it in different language other than that simple word arise. It would say the unlimited, boundless, completed transformation that is securely woven together from the concealed and revealed fountain of divine wisdom. What is the concealed and revealed fountain of divine wisdom? That is humanity. The human being in the earth, in creation, is the absolute personification of the word arise. The unlimited, boundless, completed transformation, completed past tense, that is securely woven together from the concealed and revealed fountain of divine wisdom. Now, just let your heart, your mind, your being ponder and engage with that word arise, because it's literally going to unleash, unveil, and remind you of something about yourself that you've not understood up to this point. Remember, we talked about last week that last Sunday, 5/25/25, was a marker point of an absolute transition, a new door opening, a place that has been unknown, concealed, if you will, up until that point. That Father was opening up for us, awakening and unveiling for all of humanity. But I want to go to the verse that was highlighted to me, verse 5. Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will tremble and swell with joy, because the riches of the sea will be brought to you, and the wealth of the nations will come to you. What caught my attention, I mean, there's so much in this verse, but today we're going to talk about the two things that Father just, it was like he brought them out of the verse and held them in front of me. And that was the words see and be radiant. Now, all of you know, a couple years ago, Helen Taves and I did a class, a 2-session class on what Father named for us the What If Chronicles. And the What If Chronicles were actually came about because of an encounter I had with Father, where he said to me in the night, your eye sees the door, your mouth opens it. Your eye sees the door and your mouth opens it. And thus the What If Chronicles were birthed out of that. Now, but this word see here is different than that one. This is a different word for see. Although we group them all together as see and how we understand them, how we've learned that word and what it means to look at something with our eyes. But that word originally, when Father showed it to me, the word he spoke to me about, see, your eye sees the door, your mouth opens it, was from a root word that meant if, what if. This see and be radiant, is the Hebrew word ra'ah, a resh, aleph, and hey. Now, resh is one of my favorite Hebrew living letters. I find myself engaging with and pondering resh all the time. And I would be slightly exaggerating if I said daily, but almost close to. Okay. I don't know. Resh is one of my favorites. But this word see, ra'ah, is to see, to look, inspect. It's actually a root word. That means consider, perceive, to find out or regard. Ra'ah also means to learn about or observe, to be seen, to be visible, to cause to be seen, to show, to be exhibited. And lastly, but definitely not least, to look at each other face to face. To be seen, to be visible, to cause to be seen, to show, to be exhibited. How many of you, and I'm just going to ask a question and I don't expect an answer, but it's something you can ponder and talk to Father about. But how many of you that makes you uncomfortable? To be put in situations that you are the center of attention, that you are being seen, visible, being caused to be seen, to almost feel like you're being you're on show or being exhibited. It's like it's okay. I want to be kind of in the background, not seen. I don't have to be out front. I don't have to be on the stage. And yet, dot, dot, dot. Father has placed within each one of you, each one of us, the very aspects of his being that we are, that Father desires for us to exude his glory in all that we are and all that we do. And I know every single one of you understand, I'm not talking about for the sake of pride and arrogance. This has nothing whatsoever to do with that. Then you will see and be radiant. Then you will be visible and be radiant. Then you will be caused to be seen and be radiant. Then you will be on display as an exhibit and be radiant. And your heart will tremble and swell with joy. Are you hearing Father's intention? His plans and purposes for you personally that's described right here in this verse. Your heart will tremble with joy and or swell with joy because the riches of the sea will be brought to you and the wealth of the nations will come to you. Do you know that the resh, okay, so this word ra'ah is a resh, aleph, and hey. Do you know that resh is the living letter, the Hebrew living letter that initiates everything? Everything. Begins everything. Anything that is started, created, birthed out of, if you use any of that language, always starts with a resh involved in the word. If it is a new thing that's being created, it's going to have resh involved, directly engaging. Isn't that something? And then the aleph, as we talked about last week, even though the pictorial form of aleph is an ox or a bull, speaking of God's oneness, Father's sovereignty, mastery, strength, leadership, all of those things, aleph specifically speaks to breath. Aleph is literally the signature sign of the divine. Aleph has no sound of its own, but simply carries only breath that is beyond form. Your breath, as you breathe out, has no form. Even if you were to see it in frequency, it is literally like the wind, having no form, but moves as it wills. That is Aleph. It is the sound before all sound. The breath that gives life to everything. And then, hey, breath. The very divine behold, look, show, reveal, revelation. These are the living letters that speak to this word see, that talks to us and speaks to our being about being revealed, being on display, being on exhibit, being caused to be seen. Do you realize how much Father desires the very glory of his existence that is you to be seen and experienced? And how often has that been minimized, negated, stolen even at times from a lie of be careful, don't get too prideful. Don't get too, all about yourself and wanting to be seen. To the point that oftentimes humanity makes ourselves small, closes ourselves down so that those accusations don't come and sting and bite. This word see literally lives in the place of looking at Father face to face. Looking at each other, one another, you and Father face to face, continually. That is this word see. When you're in that posture, when that is the place of awareness that you live from, is there any room for anything else? When that is the absolute position that takes up all of your vision, all of your what you are seeing and experiencing is Father's face to face, can anything else be involved in what you're looking at? Because in that place where you exist and reside face to face with Father, he takes up your whole vision. That's very much the posture Christ had when he says, when you've seen me, you've seen my Father. I and my Father are one, just like you and us are one. You are one in us. When that is your full vision, that's all you can see. That is the place that you exist and live out of and from, right? See, this word see and be radiant. See the revelation and intention given life that's carried in the silent breath. That's the word. It's not just about what our eyes see, but it's the very existence and being from the place of revelation and intention, given life that's carried in the silent breath. That's just one way of describing this word see, ra'ah. And then radiant. What it did not elude me is the reality that these two words, see and radiant, ra'ah and radiant is the word nahar, both have that letter, my friend, Raish in it. This word radiant is an amazing word. Not that see isn't. But the Hebrew translation of this word radiant is actually meaning flow together. To flow together. That's what nahar means. To flow together. If I were to look at this word nahar, meaning stream, to flow, shine, beam, light, it's all of those things. All of the things we would think when we hear the word radiant. In the Aramaic, this word nahar for radiant also means to give light to. To give light to. Just like a flashlight. That's what it reminded me of. From the light or brightness of a happy face. Radiant. And do you know that this word nahar, radiant, is only used 6 times in the Bible? 2 of those are this. Psalms 34:5 reads like this: they looked to him and were radiant. Their faces will never blush in shame or confusion. And then Isaiah 2:2. Now it will come to pass that in the last days, the mountain of the house of the Lord will be firmly established as the highest of the mountains and will be exalted above the hills, and all the nations will stream to it. Are you seeing the thread that Father is weaving this morning? Are you ready to be seen and be radiant? To be on exhibit and on display as the perfect, radiant beauty of Father's glory in you personally? The dictionary for the word radiant means all the things we know about that word, right? Shining, bright, lit, lighted, dazzling. There's a whole bunch of words that describe or define this word radiant. But one word stood out to me, and it was the word illuminated. Radiant also means illuminated. Do you realize that all of these words, a lot of the things that are either synonyms or definition of radiant, is the brightness coming from within us out. Illuminated means lit with bright lights, but it also means this is when we are referring as a manuscript. It's referring to as a letter or a scroll. The word illuminated is referring to a letter, a manuscript, a scroll. And illuminated in that context means having pages or letters that have been decorated by hand with gold, silver, and other unique color designs. That's illuminated. That's radiant. Uniquely put together, woven together in beauty, lit from within. That word radiant or flow together, Nahar, is a noon, a hey, and our friend Raish. Noon is the picture of the letter noon is a fish darting through water. And it symbolizes fruitfulness or emergence, as well as soul. Soul. And what did we learn, months ago? We talked about soul. Literally, the letter noon is the picture of the activity of life that's directly connected, directly woven into jubilee, freedom, and fullness of life. The Hebrew letter Hey, as we know, speaks of breath. Behold, revelation, divine breath. And then our friend Raish, the one that begins everything, the one that's always involved when something is being initiated, beginning, starting, created. Always involved. Never one time is it not. It cannot be new, initiated, and being created unless Raish is involved, because that's part of how it happens. And again, I want to reiterate, not outside of ourselves, but from within out. From within out. This word Nahar, the noon hey Raish, the noon hey Raish, flow together, radiant, could be said like this: soul's freedom, beholding its brightness, and giving off the light and joy of Father's heart and intention. Radiant could be said in a different way: soul's freedom, beholding its brightness, and giving off the light and joy of Father's heart and intention. How many of you have ever seen your soul, experienced your soul from the place of flowing together radiant freedom? Literally flowing together with body and spirit in a beautiful place of freedom, beholding the joy of Father's heart and intention. That is how you and I are built to be in all of creation. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. For behold, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the people. But the Lord will rise upon you, and his glory will appear over you. Nations will come to your light, and the kings to the brightness of your dawn. Lift up your eyes and look around. Lift up your eyes and look around. They all gather and come to you. Your sons will come from afar, and your daughters will be carried on the arm. Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will tremble and swell with joy, because the riches of the sea will be brought to you, and the wealth of the nations will come to you. Don't give up. Don't walk away. Don't let go of the things you've been holding on to see and experience a Father's promises. Don't give up. Walk away or let go before you see the harvest, before you see the fruit of the harvest, because Father promises you will see the fruit of the harvest. Amen.